Hey friends, it's Tasha, the Bitchin' Dietitian. I'm here to show you that counting carbs does not have to be that hard. Today I am making a chicken poppy seed salad. Of course, this recipe came from my favorite, tasteofhome.com. So it has the nutrition facts already on there. This salad makes 4 servings and they each have 23 grams of carbs. This recipe calls for chicken breasts, but I always like to use chicken thighs, and I already have them in here marinating. I cut my chicken thighs up into thin strips. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of limeade concentrate. I did not have limeade concentrate, but I did have lime juice, so I put that in there. And I also added some Splenda, since the frozen limeade concentrate is sweeter than the lime juice that I put in. It calls for 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I have that in here as well. Pepper does not have carbs. I'm gonna let it marinate for 2 hours like the recipe says. Okay, now I'm gonna make the dressing for this salad. The recipe calls for 1/2 cup of white vinegar. I've made this before and I feel like there was too much dressing, so I'm gonna half everything. So I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of white vinegar. And vinegar does not have carbs. The recipe calls for 1/3 cup of white granulated sugar. Since I'm halving this, I'm only gonna put about 2 tablespoons of sugar. And of course, sugar has carbs. And 2 tablespoons of sugar is about 30 grams of carbs. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of dried minced onion. I do not have dried minced onion, so I just chopped up a little purple onion. And onions do not have carbs. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of ground mustard, so I'm going to put 1/2 teaspoon. Spices do not have carbs. The recipe says 1/2 teaspoon of salt, so I'm putting 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Cup of canola oil, I am putting 1/2 cup, and I have olive oil. No carbs in oil, no carbs in salt. And then 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds. When I made this before, I felt like there were too many poppy seeds for me, so I'm gonna put 1 teaspoon of poppy seeds, which is 1/3 of what the recipe calls for, not 1/2. No carbs in poppy seeds. Now I'm gonna blend it all up with my immersion blender. And I'm gonna divide it evenly between my 4 containers. Done with the dressing. All right, now for the salad. I'm gonna put in 2 cups of fresh sliced strawberries. Strawberries do have carbs, as do all fruits. Next, the recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar snap peas. I'm actually gonna put this whole bag in there. The whole bag has 17 grams of carbs, and 1 cup only has 6 grams of carbs. So that's gonna be 11 extra grams of carbs for all 4 salads, so it comes up to about 3 extra grams of carbs per salad over what the nutrition information says on the website. When you're looking at the food label, you wanna make sure you always pay attention to the serving size. This serving size says 1 cup. And then we are gonna look at the total carbohydrate. Here it says total carb. So for 1 cup, it's 6 grams of carbs. This bag also tells us what's in the whole container. 17 grams of carbs for the whole bag. I'm gonna chop these sugar snap peas up because I like everything in my salad chopped kind of small. So in every bite, I get to taste everything that's in the salad. Next is 1 small red onion chopped. Onions do not have carbs. I think this onion is actually a little bigger than small, so I'm not gonna put all this in. I'm gonna save some of it for later. Because I like purple onions, but not that much. Next is 1/2 cup of pecans toasted. I know these would taste a lot better if they're toasted, but I really don't feel like toasting them today. So I'm just gonna put them in like this. And I actually don't want them to go in these containers because I don't want them to be in the refrigerator for days until I eat them. So I am going to divide them up in these little containers. I am actually putting this in my lunchbox right now because I have forgotten to bring this with me before, and it's really a bummer when you get to work and realize you forgot a good part of your salad. Last time I ate this salad, I thought it would be good with feta in it, so I'm gonna put that in there today. The recipe does not call for it. I'm gonna put about a 1/4 cup each, which only has about 2 grams of carbs, so it's not really significant. And last but certainly not least, the spinach. The recipe calls for 6 ounces of baby spinach, but I have this bag here. It is 10 ounces. I'm gonna put the whole bag in. Spinach has very little carbs, so we don't have to count it. And I may even put more. I have another bag on hand. I always put the spinach or lettuce on top because it lasts longer that way. Okay, 1 bag of spinach was not quite enough, but 2 probably would have been too many. So I have a little bit left over, probably about half left over from my second bag, and I'll save it for something else. Okay, so my chicken has been marinating for about 2 hours, so I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna throw away the marinade. I'm gonna saute it in oil. The recipe calls for a tablespoon of canola oil, but I always use olive oil, so that's what I'm gonna use today. We got a new dog yesterday. All right, my chicken is all cooked, so now I'm gonna chop it up into bite-sized pieces because that's how I like to do it. There's a guinea pig here. Muffin is eating a carrot, and carrots have very little carbs. Not that he's worried about it. My chicken's all ready. Now it's time for the ultimate test. Let's see what Petey thinks. All right, Petey's going for the chicken first. No big surprise there. Looks like he might be passing up the sugar snap pea. Oh, he passed up the greens. All right, so Petey liked most of it, maybe not all of it, but most of it. I hope you enjoy this recipe. See you next time.